What is Oprah Winfrey's net worth? The richest TV host in the world? Stay tuned to learn more about the lives of rich people. Hello dear friends, Oprah Winfrey is an American media mogul, television host and writer. Oprah has a fortune of $3.5 billion. Today she earns about $315 million a year through her very profitable diversified media empire. The early years. Oprah Winfrey emerged from poverty, abuse and prejudice to become one of the most influential people on the planet. She was born Oprah Gail Winfrey on January 29, 1954. This is not a typo. Her real name was Orpah, a reference to a biblical character in the Book of Ruth. As a child, people regularly mispronounced the name as Oprah, which eventually caught on. She was born in Kosciuszko, Mississippi. Her mother, Vernita Lee, was an unmarried teenage maid. Her biological father, Vernon Winfrey, was in the armed forces at the time of Oprah's birth. He eventually worked as a barber, miner, and city councilman. There were rumors that her biological father might have been another man named Noah Robinson. Oprah and her mother moved in with her grandmother when Oprah was a child. The family lived in extreme poverty, and Oprah was known to have been forced to wear potato sacks instead of school dresses. That's how she literally rose from the dirt to the ranks. When she was 6 years old, Oprah and her mother moved to Milwaukee, where her mother took a job as a maid. During this period, Oprah's mother gave birth to a second daughter named Patricia. In 2003, Patricia died of cocaine abuse at the age of 43. Another half-brother named Jeffrey, born to Vernon's father, died of AIDS in 1989. When Oprah was 12, she was sent to live with her father Vernon in Nashville. At 13, she ran away from her home to escape the abuse she experienced there. At 14, she became pregnant with a son who was born prematurely and died. At first, she attended Lincoln High School in Milwaukee, but after excelling in a special program, she was transferred to an affluent suburban school called Nicollet High School. After getting into trouble, she returned to life in Nashville. At East Nashville High School, she began to blossom. At 17, Oprah won the Miss Black Beauty in Tennessee pageant, which led to a part-time job at a local black radio station called WVOL as a news anchor. She earned a scholarship to the University of Tennessee, where she studied communication. At 19, Oprah dropped out of school to devote herself entirely to career in media. Media career. Oprah became the first black female news anchor on WLAC-TV in Nashville. She was also the youngest anchor in the station's history. When she was 22, she was hired by a radio station in Baltimore called WJZ to become a co-host of the 6 o'clock news, a coveted position. In August 1978, she became co-host of the talk show People Talk. By 1980, she had been a national syndicated Phil Donahue in the local Baltimore market. By the end of her Baltimore run, she was making $220,000 a year, equal to about $560,000 today adjusted for inflation. Recognizing her potential, in 1984, ABC arranged for Oprah to host her own 30-minute morning talk show in Chicago, produced by King World Productions. King World was also the production studio for Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune. The job came with a 4-year, $1 million contract. After adjusting for inflation, $250,000 a year at the time equals about $600,000 today. The Oprah Winfrey Show and the Syndication empire. Within months of first airing AM Chicago on January 2, 1984, Oprah had risen from extreme last to the highest-rated talk show in Chicago, displacing Phil Donahue. On September 8, 1986, the show was renamed The Oprah Winfrey Show, aired nationwide, distributed on syndicated channels, and was expanded to a full hour. The show initially focused only on women's issues, but was later expanded to include such topics as health, spirituality, social issues, and charity. Also, a few months after the first airing, Oprah began to be suspicious of the $1 million contract. Fellow Chicago television personality Roger Ebert advised Oprah to meet with her agent, a man named Jeffrey Jacobs. Jeffrey not only represented Ebert, but his co-host Gene Siskel as well as Bill Cosby. Jacobs immediately remarked that Oprah was unlikely to ever make a single dollar since the show had become syndicated. He was even sharper, saying to Oprah, "This is a slave contract. Slaves work for a fixed dollar. They are willing to bid on a national show. This contract is for 4 years for a total of $1 million, and it's an attempt to make you a high-paying slave. Jacobs explained how Siskel and Ebert owned part of the syndication of his show, and how Bill Cosby also owned part of the syndication of his show. How Oprah became a billionaire. Oprah fired her agent and sent Jeffrey Jacobs back to King World ABC to negotiate a new deal. King World refused to renegotiate. This would prove to be an extremely casual rejection. Instead of giving up a modest amount of syndication points to the show, King World opened the door for Jeffrey Jacobs and Oprah to casually create an empire. While negotiations were cold, Jeffrey and Oprah left on their own and founded AJRPO Production. King World was in dire straits. At the time, Oprah was attracting record crowds in Chicago, and national syndication looked like a done. They had to soften up and give Oprah a piece of the backhand. It would cost them several millions a year. King World finally came back to the table, but by now Oprah was no longer looking to get a piece of the server side. King World executives were shocked to learn that she planned to produce the show SAMA. She and Jeffrey, through AJRPO Productions and AJRPO Studios, paid all production costs for the show, and then they paid King World a set fee to syndicate the show nationally. King World was now an employee. Oprah owned 90% of AJRPO, Jeffrey owned 10%. Oprah and Jeffrey then struck a much larger deal with ABC, which included film production, a magazine, a book, and most importantly, the right to run other TV shows under its umbrella. All production of these shows will take place at a 3.5-acre AJRPO campus. That's not all. Oprah and Jeffrey have gone so far as to negotiate an ownership interest in King World Productions itself. Through this deal, Oprah would make money on every King World show, including Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune. In 1999, CBS bought King World for $2.5 billion. When the acquisition was completed, Oprah owned 1% of all of CBS. She also became the owner of a significant portion of Disney stock through a deal she struck with ABC in the mid-1990s. While her 1980s talk show contemporaries, such as Sally Jessy Raphael, Phil Donahue, and Jerry Springer, went on to make tens of millions of dollars on traditional contracts, Oprah went on to make several $1 million. When Oprah first achieved billionaire status in 1990-2000, she became the first black woman billionaire in America. Around the same time, she was making $300 million a year, producing her own show as well as the Dr. Phil and Rachel Ray show. As of this video, Oprah is the 4th richest celebrity on the planet. The only billionaire celebrities to surpass her are Kanye West, $6.6 billion, Steven Spielberg, $7.5 billion, and George Lucas, $10 billion. Oprah Winfrey is the richest woman in America to have achieved success on her own. Endorsements, another project. Oprah has been a board member of Weight Watchers since 2015. When she was invited to join the company, she received $43.5 million in capital. That stake has grown to more than $400 million. In 2019, she signed a multi-year contract with Apple to create a show for the tech giant. As an actress, Oprah has starred in a number of major films, including 1985's The Color Purple, 1998's Beloved, 2013's The Butler, and 2014's Selma. She has produced dozens of television shows, documentaries, and miniseries. As of this video, Oprah has been nominated for 2 Academy Awards, one of the Best Supporting Actress for The Color Purple and another for Best Picture for Selma as a producer. In 2011, she received the Jean Hersholt Humanities Academy Award. Real estate. From 1985 to 2015, Oprah's primary residence was a 9,625 square foot home in Chicago, which she sold in 2015 for $4,625,000. The home on East Lake Shore Drive has several foyers, a sunroom, a butler's pantry, a room fully dedicated to wine storage, a breakfast nook, an office, a terrace, high ceilings, stunning water views, and 3 bedrooms. Perhaps her most impressive real estate asset is a 23,000 square foot mansion in Montecito, California, near Santa Barbara, which she purchased in 2001 for $50 million. Today, that home is worth at least $90 million. In 2016, she purchased a 23-acre farm, also in Montecito, for $29 million. In 2019, she bought the house next door for $6,850,000, which expanded her Montecito property by 4 acres. Oprah owns a total of 67 acres in Montecito. Philanthropy. As of this video, Oprah has donated more than $400 million to charity, mostly for educational purposes. She has paid for more than 400 scholarships at Morehouse College in Atlanta. In 1998, she launched Oprah's Angel Network, a charitable organization that supports non-profit organizations around the world. Oprah's Angel Network has raised more than $80 million to date for various organizations. Oprah personally pays 100% of the network's administrative costs, so 100% of all funds raised can go directly to non-profit organizations. In 2007, Oprah founded the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls in South Africa. To date, she has personally donated $40 million to fund the school. As of this video, the school has 322 students with plans to expand to 450. Oprah's Angel Network has raised $11 million to help those affected by Hurricane Katrina, and Oprah has donated another $10 million. In 2013, she donated $12 million to the Smithsonian National Museum of African American History and Culture. That same year, Oprah received the Presidential Medal of Freedom from President Barack Obama. Ever watched the show?